Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to episode 2 of Spoiler Talk for day 2 spoilers of Commander Legends. We have the hottest takes that you need, hottest takes that you deserve. Let's get into them. So there's a ton of cool cards been spoiled today, some really cool reprints. My Queen is on here. We'll get into some of these a bit later on. First thing I want to touch on is a card that we spoke about yesterday, or a mechanic we spoke about yesterday. We just want to, definitely something I missed in my initial hot takes, as these are often the first time I'm seeing these cards. Encore says each opponent. So you pay its encore cost, exile this card from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token, copy that attacks that opponent this turn, if able. The each opponent part is really dumb. So I was reading this yesterday, kind of like an Unearth style mechanic. In fact, the way I was reading it was actually very Unearth. This is Unearth combined with Melee, which is dumb for Commander. A load of the cards have really cool death triggers. In fact, a load of them have death triggers, so they're cards that you want to die. A ton of them have power that is on par with their mana cost with a low toughness, because you're kind of fine with them dying because you can get more value from the card later. So makes more sense why Phyrexian Triniform is a mythic, and we're going to see some cool other versions of this with some of the common versions that we've got coming up for you. So let's get into the rest of the cards. So we have Blade Griff prototype here. 5 mana for an artifact creature Griffin is a 3/2 with flying. When it does combat damage to a player, destroy target non-land permanent of that player's choice that one of your opponents controls. So that ability is really, really powerful. Destroy any non-land permanent in colourless is really cool. The fact you don't get to pick it isn't really the end of the world. Normally giving your opponents choices is a bad thing. But with this card, because basically the way he's going to go is you're going to ask someone, are you alright taking 3 damage? You can destroy the most broken thing on the board. Say there's like a effect that's stopping people attacking someone. Someone's really far ahead. Someone's got a planeswalker that's that's going to ultimate. Someone takes 3. They then pick that thing, or do they pick a thing? Do they pick something else? Do they betray you? There's a lot of cool play with this card, and I think it's going to be fun. And it's going to go in a ton of decks. I think really good kind of casual style card, but it has a lot of ability to really get out of control in a game of Commander. I think it'll be fun. So, talking of getting out of control, this is the dumbest card I've seen today. Opposition Agent, 2 and a black for a 3/2 creature human rogue with flash. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. When an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast them. This is kind of obscene. Turns off fetches. I guess you can fail to find, maybe? I think. But you get to play it anyway, so it doesn't actually matter. So you get to take lands out of their deck. You get to take really dumb spells out of their deck. Yeah, this is, of all the cards we've seen, this is the one I think that has the most play in other formats as well. I don't play that much Legacy. I've never really played Modern, but obviously, so this card not legal in Modern is legal in some of the older formats. In Cube as well, this card seems really dumb. Against Storm or anything like that, this is going to be miserable. Fun card. Obviously, have to mention Marilyn the Morn Song. That's the one that stops players drawing cards, and instead on their upkeep they pay 3 life and they go tutor something. So that card spiked a little bit in response to this. It seems to go in their deck very well. But even outside of that, I think it's something that it's kind of a card I hope doesn't become a staple, because it'll just be a bit miserable. But it's really powerful. A 3 mana 3/2 with flash that effectively stops people tutoring is good enough. But the fact you get it as well is obscene. This is probably going to be one of the cards that, even though it's a rare, is going to be wanted by a lot of players. As I said, I'm probably going to try this out in my cube, powered and unpowered. But yeah, seems dumb. Whew. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, on some more reasonable things now. We have Rebek, Archetype of Ascension. 3 and a white for a legendary creature human artificer is a 3/4. Artifacts you control have protection from each converted mana cost among artifacts you control, and it has partner. So one thing to note with this is that I don't think this goes well in a deck which is playing artifact creatures and equipment, because you're going to fastly not be able to equip anything to anyone. But if you're in like a Boros aggro deck, or maybe this partners with something like Silas Wren, which we've seen get reprinted with the nice alternate art, could be like a really fun value-y type thing. So when building this, I would either go all artifact creatures or equipment. It will mean your equipment Won't be able to be destroyed or anything like that. But it says artifacts. It doesn't necessarily... They can be creatures or non-creatures, I guess. But yeah, if this was the commander of an artifact creature-heavy deck, if you just kind of go 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop, they're basically going to be their protection from those mana costs. They're just going to be... Like, something's going to get through. That seems really dumb. With partner as well, again, mentioned Silas Wren, could go with the original Boris Akiri, which will probably be reprinted in the set. We're seeing a lot of the original partners being reprinted, which is great. Get them back out there. But yeah, in draft in the limited format, I think it's going to be one of the better ones personally, especially if there's a big artifact deck in there. And then outside of that, I think it could see play with the two partners I've already mentioned. But there's probably something else I'm missing as well, which could be a ton of fun. Let's move on to the next one. Radiant Serra Archangel. 6 and a white for legendary creature Angel. It's a 6/4. It has flying, and you may tap another untapped creature you control with flying. Radiant Serra Archangel gains protection from the colour of your choice until end of turn. So this is similar to a card we saw yesterday, like the big dumb Kraken. In limited, especially, this seems like a great finisher. Like you have another partner which is cheaper, and then you just have this 7 mana 6/4 flying hanging out, which is just going to crash through for a ton of damage later. Again, definitely leading me to believe that there's going to be a Flying Matters deck in the format. Again, another one in white. We saw some in blue yesterday. So again, Azorius is looking like the colour combination for that. Archangel Angel Tribal maybe as well? Who knows? We shall see. Let's see what we have next. Okay, Briar Blade Adept. So this isn't another one of the Encore cards. I want to get this out there because, again, it scales much better once it dies. So Briar Blade Adept is a 4 and a black for a 3/4 Elf Assassin. Good to see some elves in black. Maybe we will get Sultai Elves. Maybe. When it attacks, target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So this makes... So again, this incentivizes you to attack, which I like, and makes combat a little bit miserable. And with the Encore as well, you're going to get it back, and they're going to attack everyone. You may be able to ping off some X1s, something like that. Seems like a perfectly serviceable common. Again, 5 mana, leading me to think there's going to be a slightly slower format than we're kind of used to, but it is multiplayer, so that's probably fine. All right, let's crack on. Okay, to another dumb card. Profane Transfusion. 6 black for a sorcery mythic. 2 target players exchange life totals. You create an XX colorless horror artifact creature token where X is the difference between those players' life totals. So we saw some yesterday. It's looking like what the white Orzhov mechanic, is going to be very much using your life as a resource. So this seems very much you drain yourself, get down to low life, then swap it with an opponent who has the most life, and then you get a big dumb beater as well. Again, this card isn't great if you're ahead. It doesn't really do much because you could deal yourself 20 damage basically and get a big dumb creature, but it's going to be much better if you're behind, which is looking like the white-black deck wants to use his life as a resource. We saw the commander yesterday that did that. This card is going to be obscene in that deck, and yeah, it's perfect for what white-black generally wants to do with that kind of thing. So yeah, seems fun, seems cool. Let's see what we have next. Okay, next we have Keskit, the Flesh Sculptor. Solid name there. 2 and a black for a legendary creature, human artificer. It is a 1/3. And it has sacrificed 3 other artifacts and or creatures. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. It also has partner. So what I'm guessing we're going to see, I'm guessing there's going to be some kind of aristocrats. It's a pretty solid choice for a format like this, like an aristocrat theme. This would go in that kind of deck. And also it's looking, I also like the fact they're pushing artifacts into black. I do like that kind of support. So the sacrifice stuff is very on black theme, and the fact that it gets to do with artifacts is kind of cool. I've been waiting for a way to make Marionette Master a win condition. That's the one where whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard, target player loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. That combined with this seems like a ton of fun. Yeah, I've been waiting to make that a thing for a while. And it has partner, so yeah, we've already seen Silas Wren, but we can see what else this can go with to make some cool combinations. Maybe Grixis Artifacts is back on the menu, so awesome. Okay, this is another bit of a dumb one. And yes, obviously we're on MTG Goldfish, shout out I guess, because they do translations, which is very handy. Blim, Comedic Genius, is 2 black and a red For a legendary creature Imp, it is a 4/3 with flying. Whenever Blim, Comedic Genius, deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of permanents you control of your choice. Then, each player loses life and discards cards equal to the number of permanents they control and don't own. So, this seems great for like a cursed tribal style strategy. There's one coming up, I think, which I haven't got to yet, which will go great in this deck. But yeah, things like... So currently, Cursed Tribal, I think, plays like Xancha, but that would go great in this deck. Things like Lich's Mastery or Demonic Pact. Give it to them when you've got all the value out of it, and then give it to them and they die. Seems really fun. Again, with the curses, they seem easy things to give. You can give them to them straight away. But there's a ton of... If anyone's ever played against a Zedru deck, you know there's a ton of fun of like, have a gift. It's a terrible gift. So there's a ton of cool stuff with that. So I think this one's going to be fun. For you. You will have fun with this card. The next card we're moving on to is Magus of the Order. 2 green for a human wizard, and it's a 3/3. You can pay a green and tap it to sacrifice Magus of the Order and another green creature. Search your library for a green creature card and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So obviously this is Natural Order on a stick in the same vein that most of the Maguses are. Again, won't be as powerful as the actual card, because there's the extra step of it being of having to survive a turn as well. But Natural Order's getting up there in price. I don't think they can reprint that. I'm a big fan of all the Maguses. They offer redundancy if you have one, and they offer a cheaper budget alternative. This is a rare. I don't expect this card to be super expensive, but it's going to go in a ton of green decks. It's nice that so the most optimal is Natural Order into Craterhoof. With this, but obviously that's getting up there in price. For more budget things, you can do Magus of the Order and get one of the smaller ones, the ones that give +2/+2, trample, vigilance, that kind of stuff. Good for budget decks. I think this will be great. In limited as well, I think this is going to be I think this will actually be a bomb. This will actually be insane, because there's going to be a big dumb green idiot somewhere in the set. Get that, get this. Fine, you get 2 picks. All be good. Okay, the next one. I think talking of big green idiots, we have Kodama of the East Tree. I think this completes the Kodama tree cycle. There's like north, south, west. This is 4 green for a legendary creature spirit. It is a 6/6 and it has reach. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it was put onto the battlefield with this ability, you may put a permanent card with converted mana cost equal or less to that permanent's converted mana cost from your hand onto the battlefield. So this does include land. Sorry, it also has partner. This is kind of like Cascade, but from your hand. But it also doesn't. You don't have to cast the permanent you're putting onto the battlefield. So this is great with something like Sneak Attack. Put in a 6/6, then you get put in a 6-drop, then you can put a 5-drop in for free, something like that. That seems dumb. Something like Woodland Bellower as well. Woodland Bellower, I think, is 4 green for like a 6/6 that lets you choose a non-legendary 3/3 out of your deck. So with that, you would get 2 triggers off of this. That seems really cool. I'd probably partner this with a blue or a red partner, just so you get this. Because this puts stuff in from your hand, you want the card draw that you get with blue, or you want the kind of sneak stuff into play effects that you get with red. So one of those colours, maybe even one of the... Maybe you make Tima with this and just have cheaty, fun stuff, which could be really cool. And it's also a 6/6, so it will kill people too. Okay, let's move on. Actually, let's get a drink of water in here. Okay. Again... This is a reprint from Conspiracy 2. Love to see Monarch. I think there's one new Monarch card we're going to have today. This is an old one, just reminding people that it's back. I love Monarch. Incentivize people to attack. Great to see it in here. Love the entourage of Trest. Tons of fun. Okay, so this is a reprint that I am very glad exists. I think this was up to like 90 quid or something dumb like that for a common or uncommon. I think because it was printed in Portal 3 Kingdoms, there weren't that many of them. This is 3 visits, 1 on a green for a sorcery, search your library for a forest card, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So this card's great. It's for all intents and purposes another Nature's Law, which is definitely going up there in price as well. I really hope this card drops to like a quid, something like that. That would be great. Apologies for people who have them. I guess it's not reserve list, but I'm glad they did this with a... Was it Demonic? There was a tutor in one of the core sets recently that had only been printed once. Got a reprint, tumbled in value. It's great for Commander players. This is exactly what we want. Searches for a forest card, not a basic forest, so you can go get a Shockland or one of your budget ones. Really cool, glad it's in here, going to be great for the set. Showing that maybe green does have the ramp package that I'm kind of expecting it to have. Let's move on to Demonic Knowledge, 2 and a black for an enchantment. When Demonic Knowledge enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. At the beginning of your end step, you lose 2 life for each card in your hand. So remember that lad, that impy boy we saw a minute ago? This goes great in that deck. It's also not the end of the world. I'm sure that it isn't the end of the world if you don't have that card, because the drawing 3 cards is still good. If you have the impy boy, you play this out straight away and then give it to someone, and then they're miserable. If you don't have that card, I still think this is going to be decent. But the main thing is you just wouldn't play it on 3. You play this towards the end of the game when you have 8 or 9 mana out. Play this, draw some cards, play all of them, and then that doesn't seem that bad. It does have a downside. It does still do you 2 damage, but I guess we'll see how many gifting effects there are. Like if there's other ways of giving people your permanents. If there's something that Radkos specifically wants to do. That'd be cool to have a whole archetypal theme in the set be gifting terrible stuff to people. And if that's the case, this is great in that. If not, maybe a bit narrow, we'll give it a go. Okay, next we have another legendary creature. We have a Verna, Blossoming Chaos. It is a teamer for a legendary creature, Elemental Shaman. It is a 4/2. As you cascade, you may put a land from exile onto the battlefield, tapped from among the exiled cards. So when you cascade, you generally don't get lands. I think it is a permanent. I need to double check that. But basically, this looks like it either goes in a cascade deck, so something like Yidris or Maelstrom Wander, which we also saw get a reprint today, or it goes in the deck itself and just gives you play this because it's actually quite cheap. A lot of cascade cards are actually quite expensive because of the additional value that cascade gives you. So oddly, playing this first, then hitting your first cascade card. Playing your first cascade card, getting that extra land drop into play, seems fun. I think it could be good. As I mentioned, Yidris and Maelstrom Wander. Seems cool. Goes into the next couple of cards where you actually have some more cascade cards. So the Teemo Wedge Shard, whatever it is looking like cascade fun. Aurora Phoenix is 4 red for a creature Phoenix. It is a 5/3 with flying. It has Cascade. I'll read Cascade out for people who don't know. When you cast a spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. But the exiled cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So basically, you cast this, and then you get the next spell off the top of your deck that costs less. So that's the value. You get 2 spells out of 1 spell. The first spell, you know what it is. You know with this you're getting a 6 mana 5/3 flyer, and then the next spell off your deck that costs less you get for free. And then whenever you cast a spell with Cascade, return Aura Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand. So by itself, I think this card is fine. 6 mana for a 5-power flyer. That's about on rate. That's pretty good. The evasion is great, and the fact that it has Cascade is dumb. The best case scenario, you will hit a 5-drop. You can also hit a 1-drop. You can get something like a Llanowar Elves if that's in the set off of this. But it's still an extra card of value. And then, obviously, in the dedicated Cascade deck, as we'll see coming up, there are some common Cascade spells, so we know it's going to be an archetype. You just get it back, and then you get to cast it again. Should be good. In the Cascade deck, this is obviously going to be dumb. And in Draft and Limited, I think this is going to be a house. I think it's going to be a really good card. This will finish games by itself. It'll come down, hit people for 5, and then get you a ton of value as well, which is exactly what you want to be doing. So here we have one of the common versions. We have Energy Denial, 3 blue for an instant with Cascade. It simply says counter target spell. This is very expensive. You're not going to be playing this outside of the dedicated Cascade deck, and even then, I think only a dedicated Cascade deck in Limited. Outside of that, this card is very narrow. Still fun. The Cascade is still good. If you flip this, Cascade is great because you always get 2 cards worth of value out of it. With this, you are 1-for-1ing them, and then you're getting a spell as well. You're paying 5 for that. I don't know how much top of the library stuff is going to be in the set. If there is some stuff, being able to put something on top of your library that you know you're going to be hitting rather than random could be really good. But play this in Limited. I would definitely play one of these in Limited. There's a lot of very expensive spells going around, so holding up 5 mana might not be the end of the world. Like, normally with counterspells, you want to be spending 2 or 3 mana on a counterspell to target to get more equity, so to counter a spell that costs more. With a 5 mana spell, that's very difficult. The fact it has Cascade means you will get some value from it. But again, play 1 in limited. We'll see if it goes beyond that. Okay, next we have Ember Wild Captain. 3 in a red for a 4/2 creature Djinn Pirate. This is the one I briefly mentioned earlier. When it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. So this is our first new card that gives you the Monarch, which I'm glad to see that they're doing more new ones rather than just giving us some old ones. Whenever an opponent attacks you with 1 or more creatures, if you are the Monarch, Ember Wild Captain deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. So I'm going to find my notes for this one, because this is a bit of a weird one. So, oh God, my handwriting is bloody terrible. But, yeah, this one's fun because a lot of the Monarch cards, apart from them themselves, don't really stop you from not becoming the Monarch. The Monarch incentivizes people to attack, and that does include you. This one's cool because it protects you while you are the Monarch, which is awesome. So obviously, my queen, what's her name? Queen Marchesa, gives you death touches and that kind of stuff. But this one, from when it comes out, gives you something to keep you the Monarch, basically. People have to think about, is it worth me drawing an extra card if I'm going to take a ton of damage from it? In terms of decks, I can see this be played in like forced draw style decks, something like Nekazar, where you're replenishing people's hands, that kind of stuff. If someone wants to attack you, they're going to take 7 damage. Is that worth it? Maybe, but that's a good position to put your opponents in. And again, the Monarch is great. Draw a card, it'll be awesome. Okay, we have another legendary. We have Breeches, Brazen Plunderer, which is 3 in a red for a legendary creature Goblin Pirate. It has Menace and it is a 3/3. Whenever 1 or more pirates you control deal damage to your opponents, exile the top card of each of those libraries, of each of those opponents' libraries. You may play those cards and you may spend mana as though it were any color to cast them. So this is very similar to the legendary Grenzo, the the red one from Conspiracy 2, seeing a lot of callbacks to that. The fact this has Partner means that they've taken that cool effect from another card and given you the option to add another color to it. We're seeing a lot of pirates. So is Grixis Pirates going to be a thing in this? It's kind of looking like we've definitely seen a lot in blue in Izzet in that combination. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, the Pirates does seem to be in Izzet, so that is definitely the kind of partners I'd be looking through to that. This is a pirate tribal card. You want to be playing a lot of pirates. This doesn't seem like it's going to be something that's going to be played with green or white because we haven't seen any pirates in those colours yet. So the next couple of cards, I believe, are reprints. So yes, we've seen Vial Smasher get a reprint in the new shiny art. There's a few of these. We'll just go over them on the main page in a moment. I think these cards all look awesome. The chances of you getting these in your packs is less, obviously, than the collector boosters, but nice to see them. And this is a reprint that I wanted to touch on. The Diamond series, I think, are all really good budget cards, and I'm glad these are going to be. There's going to be more of them around. I don't think they've been reprinted since one of the very early Commander ones when it was the mono-coloured Planeswalker ones. So if you don't know, the Diamond series is 2 mana, they enter tapped, and they tap for a colour of mana. So Marble Diamond taps for white, the black one taps for black, all that kind of stuff. These are great budget includes, and I'm glad to see them back. Alright, let's go back to the main shot. We'll just show you some of the other legendaries that we've seen. So yeah, just confirmation of Xenagos on this page. So we have Maelstrom Wanderers here in the top left next to Silas Wren. Maelstrom Wanderer's fun. It's the double Cascade one. I think it has Trample and Haste, so it just gives you a ton of value. Maybe that's the commander for your Cascade deck. Maybe the new one is. And then Silas Wren is kind of the only really Artifact-y Matters partner. That's a lie, actually. So there's some aggro-y ones, but this is a great one. I'm really interested to see this play with the white one that we saw earlier. Get those Esper artifacts going. I think that could be cool. And then just going down. Yes, here is my queen. Glad to see this one. I think this card looks awesome. I was very kindly bought by some friends the set foil of this. This one also looks nice. It's hard to say. I think I prefer the original foil because I already own it and I've seen it. But yeah, I would love to see what these look like in person. I've only seen the video that they showed of the Jundi Dragon But yeah, this one looks sweet. And then in terms of other reprints, we have bloody Nekasa, everyone's favourite. Nekasar's reprinted. Good to see it in the extra format. Glad they've done it. It probably doesn't need a reprint. Sidar, Kondu, and I can't remember this one's name. It's like Ishai or something like that. Good to see the partners getting reprinted. I hope they kind of just do all of them. I think I saw Cadell reprinted, is that right? Maybe that wasn't on here. Maybe that one hasn't been officially spoiled yet, so ignore my comment on that. And obviously Reliquary Tower as an uncommon. Great to see. That card's getting up in price. Yeah, so good, fun day. There's been some really dumb cards. Again, probably this. What the hell is this? This is probably the card I'm least looking forward to playing. I know some people who will be playing this in every deck and stopping me having any of my fun, but I'm still glad they printed it. It still looks like fun. All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much for watching, everyone. That was day 2 of Spoiler Talk. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow with day 3. Let's see what they do next. Can they give us more? They will obviously give us more. Can they give us more broken stuff? I'm assuming they will. With that, everyone, thank you very much again, and goodbye.